Hey everyone, Steven here, and today I'm reviewing the CS24FK monitor from ViewEdge. Like all of my reviews, I'll cover the specs, panel menu, and my test results first before getting into what I like, potentially don't like, and the gray area, and then I'll wrap the video up. With that being said, let's get into the specs. The ViewEdge CS24FK is a 24-inch IPS panel monitor with a 1080p resolution, a 165Hz refresh rate at a 7.5 millisecond gray-to-gray response time when overclocked, and a 1 millisecond gray-to-gray response time when accelerated with overdrive. This has a typical brightness of 250 nits, a 1000:1 static contrast ratio, and is 6-bit color plus high FRC, which means the claim of HDR10 here will not be true 10-bit color, although your eye most likely can't discern the difference unless you're trying to edit content that requires the higher true 10-bit color. You're also not getting a lot of the high-end HDR features. We don't have peak 1000 nits here, you don't have full array local dimming. Those, again, very high-end features will not be here for HDR, so just keep that in mind. This covers 83% of the NTSC color gamut, and I'll showcase my results from the SpiderX color calibration tool in a little bit for more information on the other color gamuts. For ports, this has 2 HDMI 1.4, 1 DP 1.2, and a headphone jack. For physical adjustments, this can be tilted 5 degrees forwards and 15 degrees backwards, and that's it. But this does have the ability to be VESA mounted with a 75mm by 75mm pattern if you needed more adjustments for this. The molding, the neck, and the base are almost all completely plastic outside of the metal clip-in portion on the neck that is used to attach this to the monitor. Inside of the box, you will get the monitor, neck, base, DP cable, power cable, and quick start guide. The monitor has a 30-day return window and a 3-year warranty, and that's going to be a big one here, the 3-year warranty, because a lot of companies only offer 1 year. You are covered here for 3, which that's something I think should be considered when you're looking at the price tag. And that brings us to the price tag, as this is normally $130, but you can consistently find this on sale on Amazon for $90. And so in this review, I'm judging this monitor based off of that price tag. And here, I think that 3-year warranty is a big win. Shifting over now to the panel menu, the menu buttons are on the bottom right-hand side, and we have a multiple button layout here. The layout here is interesting because this is the same menu I've seen on almost all of the portable monitors that I've reviewed. Here you have the following tabs: brightness, image, color temperature, OSD settings, reset, and miscellaneous. For the brightness tab, you have brightness, contrast, eco, which is picture presets, DCR, and sharpness. For the picture presets, you have standard, text, movie, and game. In the image tab, you have the horizontal and vertical position adjustments, clock, phase, and aspect ratio. In the color temperature, you have color temperature, and then the RGB colors you can adjust in the user mode. For color temperatures, you have normal, cool, warm, and user. Skipping ahead to the reset tab, you have image auto adjust, color auto adjust, reset, auto power down, and HDR10. Last is the miscellaneous tab, which has signal source, low blue light, volume, adaptive sync, and overdrive. This will also tell you the resolution and refresh rate you are in at the bottom. Shifting over now to the test results from the on-screen response time tester tool. Here we're looking at overall speed of that response time. Now they're claiming 7.5 milliseconds gray to gray when you're just in the regular overclock mode. Now they don't really distinguish that in the panel because you have adaptive sync and then you have your overdrive mode. They don't say overclock. So I'm not 100% sure where they're getting the two separate numbers here. When you enable adaptive sync, it will turn on overdrive by default, then it will gray it out so you can't adjust it. Now, if you turn adaptive sync off, you can turn the overdrive on and leave that adaptive sync off if you wanted to. Here I have the adaptive sync and overdrive enabled for this particular test. but I'm not seeing the 7.5 and I'm not seeing the 1 millisecond gray to gray either here. What I am seeing for the average complete time is 16.26 milliseconds. The best here was 4.1, the worst was 20.4. The 02550, so your black to white to black transition is 23.2. So here, just average complete time is the one that you need to look at, and that's going to be roughly 16 milliseconds. So again, I'm not seeing 1 millisecond with this at all. The good news is I'm not seeing any RGB overshoot. That would be inverse ghosting. So you're not going to get that inverse ghosting as you're running this. And there's no adjustment to the overdrive because some of these you can actually scale. So they may have a low, medium, high or something like that. Here you just really get the adaptive sync on, overdrive on. That's really the only two options here. As you tend to speed up a monitor, you end up getting inverse ghosting. So it's good to see that in this overdrive mode, we're not getting inverse ghosting, because my concern was that as I turned that on, that was going to be the trade-off, is that it would make the panel faster, but at the expense of inverse ghosting. The visual response rating is taking the perceived response time and the RGB overshoot, combining them together, and then rating this overall. Here, when we're looking at the average rating, this essentially gets a high C. So kind of what I would expect here. You're not going to get the fastest panel out there for this price tag. And the bigger thing to consider here is how much does this actually translate to gameplay and what you would see? Because when we're looking at the response time here, what I don't want to see is a bunch of ghosting. Are you seeing ghosting here? Of course you are. You're seeing some ghosting. Is it horrible? Is it outlandish for this price tag? Absolutely not. This is going to be a solid response time for this price tag, because you're just not going to find too many monitors coming in at $90 that offer what this is offering. Next, this is the results from the Spider X color calibration tool. Here, wanted to confirm the 83% of the NTSC color gamut. I didn't get 83%, I got 82. I ran this multiple times. I kept getting 82% here. So 1% margin of error. I mean, that's not bad at all. Like, we're pretty spot on here, but I have more information. So this covers 100% of the sRGB color gamut. Really, really good. 85% of the Adobe RGB, and then 93% of the DCI-P3. Monitors that I test that are 3, 4, 5, 6 times this price, even higher than that, can have this same result. So the colors here are really, really good in terms of color gamut. So I think they nailed the color on this monitor. Looks solid, plays really good as well. So you're not going to have to worry about, as you're gaming, it's going to look dull or anything like that. The colors here look very vibrant. Shifting over now to consoles and the options that you have with those. This is the PlayStation 5 here. No variable refresh rate supported. We do have HDR support, and then the frequencies for HDR is 50 and 60 Hertz, not 120. If you do SDR, so non-HDR, you have 50, 60, and 120 for the options on the PlayStation 5. Here though, you do not have the auto low latency mode. That is a question I get a lot on videos, whether or not the monitor will support that for the PlayStation 5. Shifting over now to the Xbox Series X, it's a little bit different here, because you can do, as far as I can tell, HDR with 1080p 120 Hertz, but I cycled through the options here just to see how it changes that. No auto low latency mode for the Xbox Series X either, but you do have the option for the variable refresh rate. But you'll notice that as I turn HDR on and off, it actually prompts in the video output section that, or the 4K details, like you don't have HDR10 here. So it will check off 1080p 120 Hertz. When I go back through and I enable HDR, it's not going to prompt up the warning there. It's actually just going to say, hey, this doesn't support it, but it's enabling it, which I found kind of interesting. I tried maybe, hey, it's just not 120 like on the PlayStation 5, so I had to drop it down to 60. I thought that may work, but it actually doesn't show up with that either. So a little bit more confusing for the Xbox Series X, because on one hand it's saying it can't do HDR, on the other hand it's actually allowing you to enable it. Here I'm gonna say most likely we have HDR with this, and then we're gonna get 1080p, the 120 Hertz. So now that I've covered the specs, the in-panel menu, my various test results, and consoles, let's get into what I like about this monitor. And I said it earlier, I want to reiterate, I have to judge a monitor based off of its price tag. And with this seeming to be on sale at around $89, $90 pretty consistently, this to me is a home run. This is a really good product. This is a good price tag. This is a good monitor for that $90 because you're getting an IPS panel monitor, 1080p resolution, you're getting the 165 hertz here, and the colors on this thing are vibrant. It plays well. Yes, it's not the 1 millisecond gray to gray response time, it is slower, but I was expecting that because again, this is a $90 monitor. So here I'm not going to expect the same fast response time that I may find on a monitor that is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times the price of this thing. This is such a value product here because for a lot of people, when they're wanting to get into PC gaming, or maybe they just have a console, if they're wanting a monitor just for themselves, they don't want to go with the TV, it can be pretty pricey. Here you can get something that isn't going to break the bank, that is still getting you a lot of the things that you want out of a monitor. Really good colors, decent response time, and at this size, a decent resolution. When you're looking at resolution, you have to think about the PPI, the pixels per inch. I really like 1440p 32-inch monitors. That's just the sweet spot that I found I really enjoy. And with that, the pixel density, the pixels per inch is 93. This 1080p monitor at 24 inches is 92 for the pixels per inch. So it's going to visually look the same to me as if I was using a 32-inch 1440p monitor. So it still has a good resolution for this size. It's also super lightweight. You can VESA mount this. You can easily move it around. This would be a really good second monitor if you wanted to have one, if you're a streamer, anything like that. There are plenty of options here because it's so affordable. So for anybody that is, again, trying to get into PC gaming, or you just got a console and you just want a monitor for yourself in a smaller space, because I could see this in like a dorm room or anything like that, this is going to be a really good option for you. But let's say you do want a slightly bigger size, or maybe slightly faster or higher resolution, they have other options that are extremely affordable as well. You can get a 1440p 240 hertz monitor. It has a coupon right now. I don't know how long that will last, but with that coupon, you can get this for $209, basically $210, which is a steal of a deal. But if that's too high for you, they have other ones. They have this really good stepping ladder of pricing here. You can get this one, 27-inch 1080p VA panel. This one actually has an 1800R curve, still has that coupon, and this one would end up being $109, basically $110. This one also has speakers built into it, where the one I'm reviewing doesn't, so another option there for you if you needed speakers. And then we have this 27-inch 1080p 180Hz IPS panel screen. It also has built-in speakers, and this one with the coupon, it would bring this down to basically $99. So again, they have this really good kind of stepping ladder of pricing. What do you need? They got you covered. This being just one of their lineup here, I think across the board, they are just providing really good value, where most people, when they look at PC gaming, it's just an expensive thing where they may not have the means to attain that. This makes it easier to do that, and I'm all for it. Now, I've been showcasing various gameplay footage with the intent to try to showcase what this is like in person. Keep in mind, it will look and play better in person outside of this recording here. And just to kind of distill everything down, visually it looks really good. Plays really good with the 165 hertz. Because of the pixel density being higher with this 1080p size at 24 inches, it is very similar to a 1440p monitor at 32 inches. So clarity wise here, it does look really good. In terms of text, because I get that question a lot too, you may want to run ClearType. It is a little bit pixelated on this, but outside of that, I don't know that somebody's getting this exclusively to like write and do a lot of stuff inside of an app that has a bunch of text-based stuff going on with it. I think this is primarily for gamers. This isn't something where, hey, I'm a content creator and I need a monitor that has a certain color gamut or color space or anything like that. This is really geared towards gamers. We do have limitations when it comes to consoles, but that's okay because you know what you're getting on board with. This isn't 4K 120 Hertz with HDR. This is 1080p. It can do 120 Hertz. Based off using this with the Xbox Series X or the PlayStation 5, we may have the option for HDR with 120 Hertz, but I think for most people it's going to be 1080p SDR 120 Hertz, and if they want to switch it over to HDR, they may be okay with the fact that it can't do that and it may be playing at 60. I don't notice a massive difference personally between 60 and 120 Hertz on a console across the board, regardless of the monitor, compared to a PC where you can really tell the difference between 60 and 120 Hertz. So again, there's just a lot of good stuff going on with this monitor, which brings us to the negatives. Do I have any? And I actually don't. This is such a value product, in my opinion. There are no negatives, no standout negatives with this product. There's just really upside because you know what you're going to get into with this. And if you had certain expectations, like I truly need this to be the 1 millisecond gray to gray response time, or I need more options when it comes to Xbox or PlayStation 5, something like that, this just isn't going to be the monitor obviously for you. But the good news is they have those other offerings that may suit those needs that you do have. So again, no outright negatives with this product, but shifting over now to the gray area, I even had trouble here because of the price tag that this comes in at. Usually these are things that you may or may not care about, but I'll usually talk about extra USB ports, lack of mechanical adjustments, no RGB lighting on the monitor, things of that nature. Here, I'm not expecting any of that. The only two things I came up with here, this being the 6-bit plus high FRC, I would have liked to have seen just true 8-bit color, just to make this easy across the board in terms of what it's actually displaying. Will your eye notice a massive difference? Probably not, just considering who's actually going to get this monitor, but just as a standard, I would have liked to have seen the 8-bit color. The other thing is the options in the menu. In terms of the presets, I would have appreciated a little bit more for that. You get a decent amount of adjustments here. You're not going to get the insane amount of adjustments that you may find with other monitors, but a couple more presets just geared towards gamers, because I think that is the intended audience with this, would have been nice. So in conclusion, I think ViewEdge has an incredible value monitor here with the CS24FK, along with a great lineup that allows you to step up incrementally to meet certain needs you may have for the monitor you want to get without breaking the bank. It's products like this that get me excited for how accessible PC gaming is these days. As a decade ago, it wasn't quite as accessible as it is now. It's only improving over time, and that's just really awesome to see. Now, I'm going to have a link for this along with the other monitors they offer in the description for anyone who wants to pick one of them up. If you have any questions about this monitor specifically, though, let me know in the comment section, and I'll make sure to answer that for you there. And that's going to wrap this video up. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like the video, hit the like button for me, as it helps the channel out. If you want to continue to follow along with all my content, hit the subscribe button for me. And as always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.